Hi, I'm Tammy Randolph, the Director of Investor Development at the Cleveland Bradley Chamber of Commerce. And you're joining us for The Chamber Does What? Thank you, Doug, for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Doug Berry, Vice President, Economic Development for the Cleveland Bradley Chamber of Commerce. I think your name is about as long as mine is when I say it.
Yes, it is. Thank you for getting through that too, by the way.
Doug, what do you do at the Chamber? Explain what that means, please.
In my role as the lead negotiator for the community for the attraction of new industry, that could be manufacturing, logistics related companies, or warehousing. But I'm also assigned the responsibility of maintaining the existing industry base, which means that I'm a direct contact point for our industry that's already in operation here to address issues that come up or to work with them to explore ways that we can assist them with competing internally within the corporation for expansion funds.
Mm-hmm. So that way they stay here instead of going someplace else.
Yes, and it's not that every time we talk to an existing industry about an expansion, there's a potential loss of the business at play, but it is a very competitive world, and companies allocate resources very conservatively in many cases. So they have to prove it's a more profitable operation here than at the alternate location that a company may have. So we tend to work with 2 or 3 of those projects a year. Oftentimes they don't get a lot of press or media coverage, but that's an ongoing task that I have also.
Now, a lot of people talk about, because it's brand new and shiny, Spring Branch Industrial Park.
Yes.
We have 3 manufacturers out there currently.
Yes, we do.
But we have other industrial parks as well, correct?
Yes, we do. The original industrial park that was purchased land by Bradley County was what we would refer to as Old Tasso Road today.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I think, a 90-acre parcel that ended up one of the tracks that developed was the Georgia Pacific site. And then Honeywell facility also developed off of that property, and Midwest Vaco that is now our Triumph Sheets facility.
With the largest cardboard roller in the country?
I believe that is the case, but you may actually know more than I do at this point about them. But that was a adaptive reuse of a facility that had a similar use for those that were here back in the days of Midwest Vaco operations. And, they're producing basically the raw cardboard that then goes to the companies that convert it into boxes. They cut it, die cut it, and set it up for the box that your shipment from Amazon may come in.
There you go. And that's very important. Everybody wants to get their stuff from their shipments in.
Yes.
And then we also have the Cleveland Bradley Industrial Park off of APD 40.
Yes, that would be the second industrial park. I think that was first developed in about 1984. And it's about a 300-acre development, similar to Spring Branch in size. Was acquired in 2 phases and has been quite successful for the community. I think there are 25 individual companies located. Many of them are manufacturers, such as Newlywed Foods or Polar Tech, Southeastern Container, our good friends at Catnapper, or Jackson Manufacturing are also a heavy investor in that park with their operations. But we also have trucking companies and companies that service industry in there also.
And then up at the north end at the Hiwassee, we have, that's the
Hiwassee River Industrial Park was actually a joint venture with the city of Cleveland and Bradley County to purchase originally about 190 acres. That was done in the 90s, and it was acquired. The first major project there was the GE Southeastern Lighting Distribution Center. It now has a DHS label on it, and they are one of the world's largest carrier companies, and they do a lot of managed warehousing. So they actually manage that operation for our friends at GE. From that, we also were able to expand that park and locate Walker Chemical Company on it. But let's not forget that in the early 1960s, we had our first industry up there, and that was Olin Chemical
Hmm.
Company, who was supporting the project across the river that many referred to as Bowater and still do.
Right. We do have this. When you talk about with the three parks and the diversity, we have quite a diverse manufacturing base.
That's been the target of most of the effort that I've worked with the community on in the 16 years I've been here. But Cleveland does have a diverse manufacturing base. With the stove industry presence and clothing presence here from the late 1800s, we're really a very privileged community to have that enduring an industrial base. And I remember one time reading on a history of Tennessee book. I always laugh. It was called A Brief History of Tennessee that was 700 pages long.
Yeah, that's brief.
Yeah, but the first, I think my recollection is correct, the first chapter in it references Cleveland, Tennessee as one of the first 5 industrial centers in the state of Tennessee.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
So yes, that's a nice little piece of trivia for people. But one of
Hmm.
the things that I've learned in my career in East Tennessee is that we tended to be, as most southern cities, a place that exploited natural resources, whether it was wood or water or those types of things. And we were also a low cost, relatively low skilled population, so we were cheap labor.
Hmm.
And so us Southern economic developers spend their careers trying to increase the capacity of our workforce and to build higher wage jobs, which equate with skill requirements. So it's very important. When I looked at the first Moody Analytics report, Moody is a rating agency for bonds. So they evaluate all aspects of your economy. And one of the first things that I read when I picked my first analysis of Cleveland when I first got here was that we were generally characterized as a low skilled, low wage manufacturing environment, assembly workers.
Hmm.
And that became the target for us to change that designation and to bring technology in. And I'm proud to say that it's been a few years that we've been here working at this, but Cleveland had the 6th highest growth rate in the country from 2018 to 2023 in technology based job wage growth.
That's phenomenal. And nobody would even think to realize that that would be happening here in Cleveland.
Now, the real numbers, we're still working on those, but our population count for technology jobs, high skilled technology jobs, was 9/10 of a job for every 1,000 citizens.
Hmm.
We're now at, I think, 1.3 jobs per every 1,000 citizens. So that's a little indicator that we can reference to see if we're making progress on our goals as a community.
When thinking about that, and like I said, thinking about how it was always perceived as low skill jobs and assembly and what we're trying to aim now for higher skills, higher wages, higher benefits for
Mm-hmm.
employees. When companies approach Cleveland or approach you about looking at Cleveland for a facility to
Yeah.
build here, whether build here or a pre-existing facility to take over, is there sometimes, I mean, you don't just automatically go say yes to everybody. Is there qualifications that you're looking for in these companies for to come to Cleveland? Or a better way to phrase that?
A lot of that's not written in stone.
Right.
What we have to do is at any given time work within what's out in the marketplace. We don't drive the market. We have to receive the market that's out there on an annual basis. And oh, by the way, uh, I've been in this profession since 1985. So over the
Mhm.
years, I've gotten to know a few people. So I have connections that look me up occasionally that have an opportunity, and those would be consultants. We'll be hitting the road in October to visit site location consultants and then probably do a trip out west as a region in early December. And then in the spring, we're talking about going to Chicago and Milwaukee to specifically call on consultants and or companies. to try to build, awareness of our region and our community in particular. But so we have a multi-pronged approach, but most of the leads that I get start with an inquiry to the Tennessee Valley Authority
Mm-hmm.
or the state of Tennessee, and then they distribute that out through their regional field offices, and we get a spec sheet that basically says the company's looking for so much acreage or so much power, sewer, water access, so many employees, and an outline of what their investment and job creation would be. And we have to make a judgment at that point in time on whether or not we'll engage with that project and try to compete to attract them to our community.
But when you're making that judgment, part of that is to make sure that that's going to improve Cleveland and Bradley County.
Oh, yes. And
we're always looking for ways to improve it.
We're looking to do better on the next project than we did on the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we've got a few projects it'll be tough to be better at, but that we've been successful with. But it's always evolving, and you always adapt to the moment and the conditions that you have in a worldwide market. We compete worldwide. So when the day is done, I may have to compete against 5,000 economic development organizations in the U.S. and another 5,000 across the rest of the globe for a project, because companies are oftentimes looking at multiple countries when they evaluate that.
Well, when you talk about global as well, I don't think people realize that there's companies here in Cleveland that their products that they produce are globally.
Oh, yes. I mean, many of them.
Like Eaton Electrical, people don't realize if you see a switch, I mean, they're all over the world. They're going to be at the roller coaster little things like that. But I mean, these big things in robotics, but these are world products that are made here in Bradley County. And people don't always realize that. If
you look at Walker Chemical Company, our largest investment as a community, and for a long time, the largest single investment in the state of Tennessee. When it was being built, it was the largest private investment in the United States under construction. They produce here in Charleston, Tennessee, our own community, 25% of the world's supply of the base material that's used to make the semiconductor chip, which it's all we hear about today on the media, whether it's AI or data center development. So we have companies that are exporting virtually all of their product to other users, because if you look and you've been watching the news, you know that you don't have a lot of semiconductor chips being made in the U.S. right now. We're trying to change that.
We're getting there. So because I always like to say, what is the best thing about Cleveland and what is the best thing about Bradley County when we're trying to put our finger on what makes it? What makes us so popular and the great place for manufacturers to locate here and to be here and prosper?
One, the history that we have as a manufacturing community. So that gives them comfort that there's a population memory here about the workplace and what manufacturing brings to a community. By the way, our main reason is because it brings new dollars in to circulate in our economy. When these industries are shipping all their product outside of Bradley County, that means the money from those sales is new dollars to circulate. Whereas retail to retail is a recirculation of existing dollars, except for the tourist. But the thing that companies cite most often is the fact that they feel at home rapidly here. And I noticed that when I moved here from Knoxville 16 years ago. Within a couple of weeks of moving down here and settling in, it really did feel like home. Everybody is nice. That comment is commonplace. It's a clean and neat community. It's close enough to all the other urban advantages you get with a Chattanooga or a Knoxville or even in Atlanta, for them to be able to look at their wife and say, our life here will be equal to or better than where we're coming from. And that's usually what we're competing with. But I would say the family friendliness of this community. I remember early on when Amazon developed their facility here, which was a long time ago to us now, in 2010 and 11, corporate human resources called us from Seattle to tell us that we've noticed something about your site in that we've had more people reach out to us directly to explore job opportunities with us that were previously raised here or lived here and were now away, and they were trying to figure out how to get back.
And get home.
And Amazon is worldwide, and for them to make the effort to call us and say, we've noticed something about your community that's a little different. And I think that's reflective of all the things that help us locate a company. But another recent company, the CEO of the company made the comment that you treated us like we were part of the family the first day we walked in the door, and we felt at home from the very first conversation, and that probably had a big influence. And of course, the Pie Center that we're in
Pie Center's fabulous.
also has a very significant role in our future, and the career and technical education programming and the expansions going on at Cleveland High School also have a significant impact. Our community has shown the world, literally, that we are thinking outside of the box when it comes to how we develop technical education programming that translate to good paying jobs, livable wages, wages that you can raise a family on. And we're addressing it with our youth. And that's important because our country's gotten away from that for many years. And as AI comes on board and a lot of white collar jobs get washed out, that's their current projection. Who knows what tomorrow will bring with that? What we know is that all that stuff has to be maintained.
It does.
And that requires HVAC, that requires plumbers, that requires contractors, builders. It requires engineers and people to make all that stuff work. So there's a new generation of jobs and a new priority for these jobs that we'll all be living through and experiencing over the next few years.
And it will continue to improve and keep the great quality of life that we have here in Cleveland and Bradley County.
Yes. By the way, we're not interested in attracting a company that's not willing to pay what we consider a base living wage. Mm-hmm. And that living wage in our community now is pushing $18 to $19 an hour.
Okay.
So when people think about what are we doing, we're trying to step it up and create opportunity that it's up to the individuals in our community to develop the skill sets and to pursue. And in the meantime, until we build that capacity internally, one of the things that we have to come to terms with is that we're going to have to sustain some population growth. Mm-hmm. One thing I don't think a lot of people realize is that from July 1st of 2023 to June 30th of 2024, we were the 6th fastest growing county in the state of Tennessee.
I don't doubt it because everybody wants to come here.
Now, that was a percentage growth rate of 1.5% annually. Historically, we've grown just under 1% a year. So it's not out of control. I realize at times people think it is. Mm-hmm. That's reflective of our need to do some infrastructure investment as a community as a whole. And also it's reflective, one of the things I'm pointing out, when you try to travel east-west to the interstates, we have limited options. Mm-hmm. We need to try to develop more. But part of what you're seeing today is that we're creating jobs that people in other counties want to come and get.
Yeah.
So a lot of the traffic loads that people talk about are the fact that we've had success that our adjoining communities haven't in job creation, and folks are willing to drive to those jobs.
We have people driving in instead of driving out.
Yes.
And that's what we want. We want people driving in.
Yes. And we still have about 9,000 a day that drive out to work in other markets.
We're getting there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. We're looking for balance.
Yeah, we'll get there. Well, thank you very much, Doug. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for watching, listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and we'll see you next month. Thank you. Bye-bye.